It's MamaBorg's Fun Time Educational Hour. Dum Dum Season Finale. With me, your host, Mama Borg, and Froggy. So we finally made it to the end of the school year. Grades are posted. I'm packing up all of my final kind of homework. I've even hung up my cape for the year. There it is, all washed, dried, hung up, and put away, waiting for another season to act as the cape for Macbeth or the cloak for the king and princess in The Tempest. During quarantine, I had a lot of you folks journal and write reflections. That was one of the very first assignments and was also one of the last assignments. And so I thought before I kind of say goodbye for the rest of the school year, I come to you and I synthesize some of the things that you guys and gals wrote. In classic Borger fashion, I have awkward, wonky board work here with some of your primary quotes. And I've kind of thematized some of your work together. I'll probably try to kind of print this out and put it in a blog post later, but you guys and gals like videos and I wanted to be able to say goodbye using your own words. Your initial thoughts on quarantine. Let's just start there. A lot of you were bored seeing the same people every single day. There was a lot of homework. You were just bored in general, which is actually good for your brains, believe it or not. It breeds a lot of creativity. You thought nature was good. A lot of you guys and gals had deep cleaned everything, but your sleep schedule was totally whack, and a lot of you wrote things like you know yourself better, which was kind of nice. Some of my favorites were this is the worst longest spring break in history. Quarantine is a giant timeout for all of us. And a couple people felt that the earth pulled a Uno reverse card on all of the extroverts. Introverts loved quarantine, extroverts not so much. A couple people wrote things like, there's a huge difference between communicating face-to-face versus talking on the phone, for example. One person said, I got sick and feared it was Rona, but it wasn't. A lot of you lost concept of time or felt that time was really confusing. A lot of you said things like, the pandemic is a dangerous but boring time. I thought that was poetic and profound. A lot of you talked, though, about how your family was amazing. One person said, I love how people are coming together. I've spent so much time with my family. Usually we hardly ever talk, but the family group chat has not stopped ringing. I hope you still feel that way. Not sure some of you do, 9-10 weeks in, staying with the same people over and over and over again. A lot of you guys and gals had some really profound thoughts on the homework and how you approached homework, how the homework was sent out. One of the big ones was, I cannot teach myself math. Math was a huge complaint, and that's good for math teachers because you all have job security. Students cannot learn math without their teachers. I cannot learn math, period. Some people said things like, teachers should contact students when they receive the assignment. I worried sometimes that the packet would not get to the proper teacher. I also had trouble working Zoom calls since I live in the country and we don't have great internet. Internet and technology issues were a repeated pattern over and over and over again for so many of you guys and gals. Here's a really, really good one from a student. When teachers wanted me to do email with stuff, it caused me a lot of stress. One, my email for some reason was locked out on my phone. There might be some setting somewhere to fix it, but I haven't been able to find it. And two, I have a laptop that I can use, but my Wi-Fi never works enough to load Gmail or anything, so that's why I couldn't use email. Altogether, the entire remote learning days provided a lot of stress because of technology. And I know most of you use your phones. I started contacting you on non-school emails just because your school emails did not interface well with your phones. Technology was a huge, huge difficulty. Another difficulty a lot of you faced were jobs. My job got in the way. I worked every day, so it was hard for me to finish my work. I've been constantly working and we've been constantly slammed. Why did classes give so much work? There's a lot of kids who work almost every day like me, and I don't have time to do that much work. I heard you. Hopefully I kind of adapted a little bit, and I adapted as people kind of communicated that to me. Some funny things people said was the two most notable things with quarantine is that Johnston City doesn't seem as dead anymore. People are everywhere now. And the other thing is that wildlife is just so abundant. I thought this was a really important point, and I want to take this up to upper level administrators. One student said, if there is some way I could make it known to teachers that some parents can't help with homework, which means the oldest has to push the youngest siblings to do the homework. I would love to make that known. Also, elementary kids, in my opinion, have an outstanding amount of homework, more than I have. Thick packets. I hear you, and there is a way to make that known. You told me, I'm going to tell other teachers, and we'll see how we can kind of adapt that. From a teacher's perspective, I didn't know what anybody else was sending out at all. I didn't have much communication at all with my colleagues, so I didn't know if you were getting a lot of work or not enough work, and I didn't get this feedback until the end. So I'll definitely be adapting if we end up going back to this in the future. I had a lot of people say, I got it done, but I would always wait until Sunday night. Being home, I had other responsibilities. Some weeks it was a lot to do and keep up with. My favorite, like, what have you learned over the break is what I've learned over quarantine mostly has been how to master the art of procrastination. Turns out I can get a week's worth of homework done in just 5 short hours. Yeah, that's a good skill to learn. A lot of people also said they enjoyed working at their own pace. That was one of the kind of benefits of this quarantine. You didn't have to work at the teacher's pace, you worked at your own pace. A lot of people, though, said they wish there was a better way to kind of get the work and turn the work in. And one of my other favorites was, I used to think I wanted to be homeschooled, but now after this quarantine, I couldn't handle it. I hear you on that. A couple of interesting thoughts in terms of what you guys and gals learned. I realized I learned how much I hate staying at home, but how much I love sleeping and watching Netflix. A lot of you wrote that you enjoy reading now since it's not attached to homework and you're bored of scrolling on your phones. So reading books has actually been pretty beneficial for you folks. A lot of you also wrote that you missed school, and that's something that you used to call your prison now feels like it would be a place of freedom. And missing school isn't the worst thing at the world. One person wrote, I miss friends and I miss my teachers, but I don't miss the work. Good distinction. Some things you guys and gals learned had nothing to do with school. I learned how to install laminate flooring. I learned how to platinum in video games. The only things I've learned are down on the farm, such as how much muscle it takes to pour 5 gallons of hydraulic oil in a tractor. I've also learned not to put a disc in the ground when you turn. I don't know what that means, but it sounds dangerous, and I'm glad you've learned that lesson. A couple of other final themes were things like, I've also learned I don't want to be homeschooled anymore. I've learned I don't want to do this next year, and I hear you on that one as well. So, we come to the end of the school year. You guys and gals have summers planned out, probably not the summers that you anticipated. My last homework assignment that I sent home for summer enrichment include a Mad Lib of to be or not to be. Obviously, I'm not going to get these back necessarily, but please have some fun. To quarantine or not to quarantine, that's the question. You can, I have a competition kind of going if you wanted to send me a video of you doing that, or if you wanted to send me the version of that, that'd be fantastic. I also invited any of you who want a book. These are the books from my classroom from whenever we would do Drop Everything and Read. A lot of you always picked up the same book over and over and over again. So if there is a book on my shelf that you want to borrow for summer reading, I will be more than glad to send that to you. Just email me or call the school and I'll coordinate that for you guys and gals. Or if there's a book you want to read that I don't have, I'll purchase it, let you borrow it over the summer, and then you can bring it back and we'll just add it to my classroom library once we do meet face-to-face again, whenever that is. Well, I guess that's it. Feels like we're ending more on an ellipsis than a period or an exclamation point. Maybe we're ending on a question mark. But I just want you guys and gals to know 3 things. I want you to be safe, I want you to make smart choices, and I want you to know that I like you. Try to have the best summer you possibly can. Keep journaling. If you want to, write me a letter. I'll pen pal with you over the course of the summer. Instructions for that were also in summer enrichment. And stay well. Into the school year, people. Peace out.